Welcome to Growth Secrets, the podcast where we dive into the strategies and insights powering today's fastest growing companies. I'm Yannick Kayati, and in each episode I'll explore the unique growth and marketing tactics that have set these businesses apart. And today we're kicking off the new podcast with a really great guy. Alex Lodeweyckx is the head of performance marketing at Loop Earplugs. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Yannick, for having me. Really excited.
Yeah, for this intro of this podcast, I really imagined something cool, but I was thinking back of the days when we first met, and honestly, it seems like yesterday when we were sitting in Peter's co-working space in Antwerp, and Alex, you were figuring out your ideal career path, and the craziest ideas came first, like you wanted to do offline brand activation campaigns for Basic Fit in the center of Antwerp. You wanted to start your own copywriting service. I think you did it in the end, Copy Baristas. You did it, and there was always one common thread, and that was marketing. And fast forward, I think already 6-7 years, and now you're the head of performance marketing at Loop Earplugs. What a career path, what a career growth. And you're the biggest meta advertiser in the Benelux, if I'm informed correctly.
Almost. Let's say top 3 at the moment.
Top 3, that's nice. But for this podcast, we say you're the biggest. And then Loop also recently won the Deloitte Fast 50 award, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for a second time, if I'm correct.
Most of all, it's an upcoming e-commerce giant that has the entire world wanting to look in their marketing kitchen. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Try to look in your marketing kitchen, and my main goal for this podcast is to expose your marketing secrets. So if it's okay for you, let's dive right into it. And let's move straight to your work at Loop, and we'll get back in your previous roles later in the podcast, because you also worked at Tomorrowland. But how have you seen the company Loop evolving in the past couple of years? Because I think when you started there, the budget that you were managing was, I think, a little smaller than you do today, right?
Yeah, I could say so. So let's dive straight into the secrets then, right? Now, I started working at Loop back then. We were spending about 40-50K a month on ad spend. We were aiming for a 20 million company back then. Actually, the secrets of Loop has been, up until the day I joined, was mostly performance marketing. Like, we had a lot of things running greatly. Influencer marketing was going so well for us. We had a lot of good brand marketing. We had community marketing. We had all those things which were running quite well. And then the only thing we missed back then was really more hardcore performance marketing, benefit marketing, really focused on problem solutions. So the moment I joined the company, I really started focusing on that opportunity for just explaining to people that earplugs is just not for earplugs. It's for enhancing your sleep. It's for enhancing your focus, your productivity. It is much more story to tell than just the earplug use case of sleeping, right? So that's the moment that I joined. We scaled from 50K ad spend a month to now between 3 and 4 million a month, depending on seasonality. It's amazing. It's so much fun. It's also fun to see a company grow so fast. Like, the whole performance team was like a one-man army back then, and now it's a team of 30 people just nailing it. It's just awesome to see.
And looking at your role, how did you grow within that period? Because I think, managing a budget of like 40-50K and now 3 to 4 million monthly, you must have changed as well. How do you grow, or how do you get along with that type of growth?
Oh, it completely changed, right? My role, like, you grow with the budget, you grow with the profitability. I think, as hands-on as I still love to be, sometimes in the campaigns, in Google Ads, making sure that everything goes well, you start developing more kind of machine mentality. I really like it. It's like you start in the beginning with just setting up experiments, setting up campaigns, making sure that they're profitable. And then slowly but steadily, if you're growing, you start realizing that, okay, it's actually a game of quantity. It's a game of getting the right people, which are efficient, which are effective, and making sure that you have more of those people. And then building a process around those people that they're able in an environment to turn out even more experiments and more things, and making sure that you have even more output than ever before. doing that while consistent, while always optimizing user success ratios, that is like where my position today is. It's really focusing on the performance creative machine building, I think more than ever before.
So the key is in the creative then, or am I mistaken there?
No, you could say that right away actually. Yeah. The key, in my opinion, in ecom is all about the creative. Today in the world where we are living in, all the platforms like Meta, Google, Amazon, they're churning out black boxes, right? Like their algorithms, they're superior. Like they're superior to any media buyer that you know today. Therefore, what is the sole thing that you still own as a brand? It's your creative. Your creative is your targeting. If you want to reach out to parents, you make sure that the ads is representing for people who are parents. If you want to focus out on people who are more on the focus productivity, maybe like health hacking kind of environment, then you better make sure that those creatives really are relevant for those people. And I think that's something we at Loop did really, really well. We started in the beginning with a couple of use cases, right? Like we were famous for the clubbing in the beginning, and then we switched a little bit from clubbing to noise sensitive, right? Now everybody knows us as a noise sensitive community. But slowly, steadily, we start exploring use cases like parenting, use cases like focusing productivity, more enhanced sleeping, all those things. Like up until motorcycling, right? We have use cases running day in, day out, and making sure you have creatives running for all these use cases at the same time. That's really how you build your fundamentals, your house, right? That's actually the fundamental house you're building in performance marketing.
And looking at the creative, how many creatives do you have live currently, for example? Because 3 to 4 million monthly, that's a lot of creatives, I can imagine.
A lot of creatives, yeah. So how much we have live at the moment, that's going to vary between 20 and 30K. So that's going to be in totality, but there are a lot of variants going on, right? So that really depends. Now, in reality, what we do is we have an objective, which is at least launching 1,000 unique ads on a monthly basis. So that's really where we want to go. Like, we want to make sure that we have 1,000 creatives running, newly unique creatives that we haven't seen before running on a on monthly basis across all the platforms. And that number just keeps on growing, to be honest. It's quite linear, as in, if you spend 10% more on ad spend, you have 10% more creatives needed. But
Okay.
It's working like a charm.
Crazy. And taking us back on that, on that road, I think it's been quite bumpy already. How many years are you at Loop already now?
Now, about 3 years.
Yeah, looking back on those 3 years, what were like the key milestones that decided on the growth? Because I think, if you scale the budget in that kind of way or that kind of size, it's never seen in Belgium, to be honest. How does that go, and what are some key moments that you can reflect on where you say, now we found something that allows us to really scale in an enormous way?
Yeah. The first key moment, I would say, is the experimentation framework and mindset. I think as an ecom company, it's so necessary that you allow your people, your marketeers, to do experiments, to be free, to also make mistakes, to not always be on brand, sometimes be off brand, and that's okay, right? And all do these experiments. I think the first milestone we achieved in the company quite soon, in the first like 4 or 5 months when I was working, was that freedom of experimentation for performance marketers. That freedom of being creative, of being different, right? I think that's the first milestone that really helped us scale a lot in the first year, from 20 million to 40 million. We doubled down revenue in only like half a year, pretty much. And then the second milestone was for us the quantity game. Is we really were able to focus on the quantity, on making sure we have weekly consistent creatives running, and they get better and better over time. And I think a third element milestone that maybe overlapped with the second one also is the fact that we really discovered that you are not optimizing for the $1 million creative. You're optimizing for the 100K creatives, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're optimizing for. You're trying to make sure that in every bucket of audience, every content bucket, every audience bucket that you have running or that you have for yourself, that you have some creatives that are applicable for that bucket. And to have all those buckets running at the same time, which does require some time because It's a huge, like today we have about 37 audiences, I think, in totality, 37 use cases defined for ourselves when it comes to totals. If you define all those use cases and then you start creating content for every use case and you start seeing here and there some wins, it just adds up to the whole pyramid, to the whole house you're building. So that's the second one and third one at the same time. I think in the fourth time one is actually quite in-depthful, is we have been now scaling so fast, so well. Like we're reaching out to, I would say, 18 million people on a weekly basis. That's huge quantities of people you reach out to. If you are reaching out to such quantities of people, then you do need to know what is incremental. And last half year, we really went deep into incremental studies on discovering which channel is incremental. Is it really Meta that gives sales? Is Google? Is it Amazon? And then on top of that, actually, which creative is incremental? Because a lot of people are thinking that creatives are all the same. Like you might launch a product creative or a benefit creative or just a creative that is more in the discovery phase. But sometimes you discover that certain types of creatives might be more incremental. And doing those studies really optimizes your media spend, your marketing mix, making sure that for every buck of euro you spend on marketing, you get the most out of it.
And you mentioned the experiment process. Of course, yeah, as you know me, I'm a big fan of experimentation. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a podcast with Shopify's VP Growth, and he told that only 1/3 of their experiments actually failed, and it led to no long-term results, which he made sound like a lot, but yeah, it's only 1/3, which means like 2/3 that they can scale and then that they can build further upon. How do you see that at Loop, and how do you structure the experimentation process there?
So on the experimentation side, my success ratio would be 1/3. I think 60% what the VP of growth of Shopify said is crazy. Like honestly, that's a crazy percentage. For me, even a bit too high. As a percentage should actually be healthy. I would assume that you would allow your people to make more mistakes, fail faster, fail harder, I would say. That's really my motive to the team that I'm managing. I really want to make sure that for me, a 1/3 of success ratio would mean that you still can accommodate all the fails that you made, right? So therefore, if you have 1/3 experiments running at a profitable rate, they should cover up all the ad spend, all the costs that you made for everything else. What I define as experiment for my team often, it goes into angle testing, it goes into ROAS structure testing, it goes into mixed market modeling testing, goes to geo testing, all those things. So that's like how we define it at Loop. It's quite an extraordinary amount of creatives, experiments we do. So from a paid social side, I would love if we have, by example, 30 to 40 experiments running on a weekly basis. Okay. When it comes to the bigger aspects of marketing management, of channel mix management, all those things, I would love to have like between 5 and 6 experiments running, bigger experiments running, where we test, by example, certain channels, where we test certain media, certain content, certain creatives, like on bigger scale, or adding new channels to the whole media mix. Those things does require more time. Therefore, you do them quarter per quarter and just evaluate also not purely on the 7-day click, 1-day view kind of attribution model everybody knows. You try to evaluate them over a period of 1-3 months, depending on how bootstrap your companies, I would say, and depending on how your cash flow is, you can have more like longer periods of time to evaluate those experiments.
The deeper the pockets, the longer you can run the experiments.
Exactly. The deeper the pockets, the longer you can run experiments. And it's not only that, it's mostly the more that you can measure the effect of brand, the more you can make the incremental effects of certain campaigns, right? Like we're testing today YouTube marketing. YouTube is a fantastic channel. I really believe in it, but it's hella brutal hard to measure that, because the incremental effect is not in 1 week. It's often visible only after 1 month or 2 months of time. So having that knowledge and also that pocket to afford that, to only see sales coming in 2 months, that's something that the company needs to allow yourself to do so.
Yeah. And how is it structured internally then? Because you mentioned all kinds of different frameworks for advertising, but I assume that, for example, CRO is also an important matter there, on-page optimization, etc. Is that handled by a different team, or is that also in your team?
No, it's handled with the team. So how it's structured at the moment at Loop is you have a performance team responsible for all advertising. You have the Shopify team is responsible for the webmastering, the SEO, making sure the website is as converting as possible, making sure our AOV is as high as possible. That's really focused for them. And then we also have the Amazon team. Amazon team is more responsible for making Amazon also profitable in their holistic system, making sure the SP ads are working out on. And we work together quite closely because we know that performance marketing, advertising, you see huge effects also on other platforms. Because the reality of the game is that Meta, Google, YouTube, all those channels, they will always have the highest impressions. They will always have the highest eyeballs, right? Therefore, having the most incremental effect on all the other channels,
Yeah.
all platforms.
And how should I imagine that? Is that like the San Francisco Silicon Valley dream where you guys all have one big growth meeting every couple of weeks and you decide on the experiments together, or how does that go?
Yeah, you could say so. So every month we have some alignment meetings, but mostly every quarter we really come together for a whole week in the past, aligned on project we want to do, aligned on all the new channels we want to open, all the new products we might be dropping in the next coming years. Really making sure that in one quarter you dedicate one holistic week to review people, to review the budgets, to review all the projects, and also sometimes be humble and say like, hey, what did we do wrong? How can we improve? Because it's not only about looking forward, it's also sometimes learning from mistakes and from things that haven't been doing quite well in the last quarter.
So basically a pretty straightforward experiment process, or do you say like, yeah, what makes it so special? What makes Loop like, yeah, what gives you guys the success that you guys are having?
The success that we're having is the experimentation that we do on a weekly basis. I think, like, let's be honest about it. Loop at the moment as a company, we are really reliant on performance today. Still, I would say that 70% of all the money is being made by performance marketing, not to be seen how actually effect it has on organic. The success that we see is in the weekly experiments we do. We have a weekly experiment structure where weekly we brief a shit ton of creatives, shit ton of experiments that we want to launch, and making sure that's all focused on profit, making sure that every euro we spend needs to have an ROE within 7 days, and having that vision of I accept that I will not do brand, I accept that I will just make sure that within 7 days I will get my money back, and then making sure you're cost efficient at a ROAS which is profitable enough. That's really the goal. So making sure that in that week frame time, you're allowing yourself to have 40, 50 experiments, even more, on paid social, on paid search, on all the channels you have active. That is really the key focus at Loop, and that's one of the main drivers.
Yeah, and the main, the common goal for all the experiments is ROI, I can assume.
Yeah, so ROAS, ROI, it's always related to revenue mostly, and think also with the knowledge that we are situating, with the knowledge that you are at the moment growing as a company and you are at the moment being seen by so many eyeballs, it also goes towards profit, right? Like you look into profitability more as a company than just revenue. So therefore, looking into POAS, looking into paid profitability margins, or all those things are really becoming important.
And can you give us, an example of an experiment you recently did that was one of the winners?
Yeah, definitely. So actually, one of the things I really love is expansion, right? And one of the things we were doing is just an expansion test in Spain, where we discover like, hey, traditional marketeers often say like, if you go to Spain, you need to translate the whole website, localize the whole website, all those things, right? And personally, I've always decided not to go for translated, localized countries in the past, because as long as you can do it in English, it's much cheaper. You use the same content, you have the same marketing machine running. It's really affordable to just go broad all in. But if you localize, right, it creates a lot of costs. Now, the experiment we did was we tried out in France, Germany, and in Spain an experiment where we just translated the content. So no localized content, just translating content. Like minimal effort. ChatGPT, content translated, and getting things done. And we actually saw a 34% increase in ROAS just by translating it through ChatGPT in Spanish. Even though that content actually went into an English website, we're at the moment still seeing that just translating Spanish content with ChatGPT works amazingly well. So by allowing ourselves to just go random, make some Spanish content to English websites. By allowing ourselves to reach out to some Spanish influencers, we are unlocking like a new audience there. And it's
Cool.
really, really quite nice.
Cool. Yeah, I think I wanted to bring it up later, but maybe you already brought it up now. How did you incorporate AI tools in your marketing team?
That's
You
a big
mentioned
one.
ChatGPT. I think the listeners probably want to hear some secret tools as well, but what can you tell us about your AI stack?
The AI stack. The honest truth today is Midjourney, ChatGPT. Those are the big ones we're using today. So in general, I really believe that you can use ChatGPT for writing the best epic copy that you need if you just prompt it correctly. Like I love using cash advertising. I love using life versus A principles and using those two principles to optimize my copy through ChatGPT. And that's my first win, is in making sure that in the whole creative process that you don't need copywriters anymore. You can just use ChatGPT to maintain like most of it, which is amazing. Cost reducing, friction reducing, making sure you have that in place, and it works like a charm. You can even upload your brand guidelines if you want to, so make sure that you have your own little custom ChatGPT room available with all the knowledge that it has available. That's one thing. Second thing is we're trying it out at the moment, but I really, really believe in AI created advertising. The difficulty part about advertising in general is a lot of AI tools today, they promote that they can make creatives, but they make variations. And the thing is that at Loop, what we do not do is making variations. We always want to make sure that every ad is unique. We do not do micro A/B tests. We don't do color changes. We don't do headline changes. Every ad that we produce needs to be different. It needs to be unique. It can be copy variation. It needs to be just something which is relatable, new to the audience. And that keyword new is really important. I might come back to it later. So therefore, we are working together now with our AI team to make sure that we have an AI system that's able to produce newly ads from scratch, copy, headline, visual, even the earplugs edited in ear, to make sure that it's perfect. It's like a new thing. So that at the moment is going on the tests, and it's looking really, really promising. It looks like we're going to be able to make, like in less than 6 months, I believe, AI ads running a thing. So
Okay.
that's a huge, huge win for our cost efficiency. And I'm also quite excited because those ads, how they're looking today, they look fantastic. They look different. I have no idea how creative they can be, but I'm really looking forward to seeing some creative advertising from AI.
Because you mostly talk about the creative and I think the visual aspect of it then probably, but
Yes.
how does it work for you with when it comes to personalization? And I also saw an example last week in a Board of Innovation webinar where they were talking about in the moment tailoring of campaigns. I think it was Pedigree. I think it's a PepsiCo brand, and they actually tailored the advertisement. I think an out-of-home campaign with a dog from the dog shelter. They could change it with AI in the moment on a billboard when the dog was taken away, and there was a new dog available, and that's how they did it. So it was pretty crazy. Do you see that kind of trends going mainstream, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's an amazing example you just gave me. That's an amazing example. But it only works for when your products always continuously change, right? Now you're talking about dogs, not products, but in general, right, if your product continues to change, it makes a lot of sense to use AI. But it's more like an efficiency use, right? Because we talk about efficiency use, anything else. Um, I think in general, you do not want to personalize that much because you're still looking into advertising platforms. And advertising platforms, they're not able to work with a lot of personalization. Like if you give Meta an ad, it needs to find a lot of people before it starts converting. It needs to learn a lot. If you in the backend continuously changing the ads, for example, it will not just work, right? So that's personalization thing that I'm not really a huge fan of. Maybe another topic though is have you seen also how crazy that AI data is getting? Like you've seen those cool tools popping up like ThoughtSpot or cool tools that really are pretty much automating your whole dashboarding and your whole insights.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Like Motion, have you seen Motion?
Motion. I have a calendar app called Motion, but it's also an AI-powered
It's
calendar. But
yes. It's, I
okay,
think I'm not sure the same company though, but they're actually doing cool stuff. Like you can just upload or attach your accounts to it, and it will just visualize and see like, okay, what is the ad actually saying, and based on the visual of the ad, it will start categorizing it. As in, if you have so many ads running, you can just upload them in a bunch, and they will make automatically like reports from it. That's really, really cool.
Because maybe there also, I think every time I need ads done, I come to you and I call you and I say, Alex, I need help. But every time you make it seem so easy, and especially you give me the feeling that AI is taking over a lot of the work. Yeah, the algorithms do a lot of the work.
Yeah.
How do you see the performance marketing role evolving over the past, over the coming years?
Ooh, that's a harsh truth, huh? That's a harsh truth. Yeah, you might have heard myself talk about creative. Anyway, the reason why is because I truly believe that media buying, the original typical media buying as we know, setting up profiles, setting up accounts, all those things, I'm quite sure that within, let's say, 2 years of time, I want to make a bet out of it, that AI just replaces that completely.
Okay.
Everything which is set up, everything which is related to just the maintenance of the marketing, that's gonna be gone really fast. Therefore, really good performance marketers, in my opinion, they're able to tap into psychology behavior. They're able to tap into customer insights. They're able to tap into what customers really, really want. And also, not only that, but also understand the business economics behind things, right? Because that's a huge aspect about performance marketing. It's not about just making sure beautiful ads. No, it's about, does this ads relate to the product? Am my customers find it interesting? Will my NPS score be healthy? Will there be creating word of mouth also? Is the marketing messaging complete from A to Z? Like, there are some things about it, right? That AI will never completely be able to monitor or to follow up. Or at least not yet. So that's to be seen. Yeah, I think for performance marketers, it's interesting. It's exciting worlds. I know for copywriters, it's already getting really tough. For performance marketers, I think that if you're not able to switch right now over to behavior insights, customer insights, and getting more psychology part about it, then you will lag behind in the marketing scene today.
I think indeed with copywriting, it's so much more mainstream because you just do it. Everyone can write copy. Not everyone can write damn good copy, but everyone can write copy. But with performance marketing, people have to actually log into Facebook, which is already, the business manager, it's already a pain in the ass
Exactly.
to get in there. And I think, whenever there comes a tool that does everything for you from A to Z, the entire process, I think then it has a chance. But we will always need people there. And I totally feel you when you say like the creative aspect is super important, behavior psychology. And what's also interesting is that you mentioned the marketers need to get an understanding of the business economics behind it. Basically what you're saying is that the performance marketing team is also going to do innovation basically and come with new products. Am I understanding that correctly? Is that also how things are already moving within Loop, or how do you see that?
So it's not as in they're at the moment proposing new products, but it's definitely keeping an eye on the trends because of AI and else, you do have more time available to look into trends, look into what customers are thinking, and like what is the matching products, right? And having the insights is the honest truth. I personally find that the performance marketers have the most insight when it comes to product marketing often, because they are really close to the data. They really expect like, hey, when it comes to the customer journey, what actually do they need? What is actually working quite well for them? So whenever you're looking into just the existing customer base, there is where performance marketers or just marketing in general have a lot of knowledge about. When it comes to really unlocking new categories in your product, there is where product marketing really also shines, right? Like if you're truly talking about the existing customer base, but more as in, I want to have a new innovative product, then that's more product marketing where they can really help in. Actually, was one topic though that you mentioned I find quite interesting. You're talking about copywriting and everybody can create copy, but to be really good copywriter, it takes some time, right?
Of course,
And, I agree. And the thing is that what we always did at Loop is the ads need to be good, but not great. And that's also like a key element for it. Like I prefer to have a lot of ads running which are pretty good than to have a couple ads running which are amazingly great. Of course, the quality standard needs to be up and running, and it needs to be really good quality of all the ads in general. But that's really a thing for me. Like I really believe in quantity at the standard, quantity with purpose, I would say. That's really how you define marketing at Loop.
I think it's whenever it comes to the great companies that are really nailing performance marketing, there's one common thread, and it's mostly volume. It's a lot of ads. And I remember Ramsey, who was doing the B2B ads at Loop, and I think he moved to Aikido, a tech startup and whenever I log into LinkedIn now, I see the Aikido ads pop up in all kinds of different variations. And it makes me wonder, like, that there must be something to it. And all of these good performance marketers, of course they focus on quality, but it's not maybe the number one thing. It's volume, is quantity over quality, probably.
Exactly. And it's just the fact that you mentioned, right? Like, you saw an ad that you see preferred, like that you maybe like it, and then you convert on it, right? And I always tell my people, like, you have red ads for red people, blue ads for blue people, green ads for green people. Maybe some people like to convert on having a beautiful video ad. All people would love to have like a really long form ad. Other people just want to have like really smart, like, buy this makes sense for you ad. And just to unlock all these audiences, you just need to have something for everybody. That's like the level of personalization I really believe in, is something for everybody, without putting your name on an ad, by example. Like, hey, Alexander, this ad for you, which is less relevant. As long as you focus on the benefits, as long as you make a clear problem solution statements in your marketing communication that relate to people, I think you're more than fine. You don't want to go more in depth on that.
And you just brought up formats. At formats, how do you look at that for the near future? What are the trending ones? And in e-commerce, we had a lot of UGC for the past year, I think. But I see less of it for now, or maybe it's just me. But what are the upcoming new things that really are going to stand out?
Yeah, I think UGC is still huge, but I believe that 3D rendering animation, it's also something that's always been working lately. Like, if you see all ecoms, they're pretty good when it comes to 3D renders, animation content, and all those things. And I really feel with now AI coming up, it will make things so much more cost efficiently. Like, AI and 3D renders usually cost a shit ton of money. You're talking about 2-3K, maybe like 5K for every render you do, right? And today with AI, it goes way cheaper. You can pay like 500 euros for a really good AI animation today. So I think AI animation would be the next big thing, which is huge. I also see that the quality of UGC is increasing a lot. Like, lately, content creators have been producing some really epic content from Loop. It feels like product shot. It feels like H quality studio shoot content. But I know that this guy just has a tripod and a really good camera and makes this really good quality content. So therefore, the level of UGC, as we know, the typical ugly ads, authority ads, the things we love, we draw in the past, right? I feel that's changing, and I feel that's making sure you have a low budget, high quality advertising, high quality content for a website and for advertising purposes. I think that's definitely one of the things that people will shine in.
But if I understand correctly, things that move go over like the visuals, the images. You always prefer like things where there is a bit motion, like videos, 3D renders. That still works best, or am I understanding it?
The honest truth is that half of our advertising is still image content. Image content still performs really, really well. For other companies, less. It really depends on the audience you're targeting. It really depends on how your mix is. I would never, and that's also the honest truth again, is I would never focus on one bucket of content, one format of content. I would always make sure that all my buckets of content are running at the same time, are producing some content. And it's just a matter of budget allocation, right? As in, as you're growing, you have other buckets of content joining, you have UGC, you have high quality content, you have lo-fi content, you have whatever it might be joining the whole atmosphere of creatives. And therefore, you just every month reallocate budgets continuously. More budget goes in UGC because UGC is working, then it's not working anymore. You see reallocated budget to other channels, other studio, other shoots. That's a key thing. Animation, video content, it's working really well because it catches people's eyes a lot, and that's just nice to see. But it's equal amount of thing as image content is.
Okay. Cool. Maybe a total other question, but like you're a regular guest speaker at companies like Meta and Google, and I think you spend a lot of time in Dublin
Yeah, you could
lately.
say so. Yeah.
Yeah, so which is nice, but what's the story that all of them want to hear? What are you talking about? Is like the Loop use case? What do they all want to hear, and how does that go?
I'm actually just there for the Guinness, to be honest. I just love my Guinness there in Dublin. Ah,
Yeah, and they also have this too. They have like
I know, right? I know, it's
coffee,
heaven.
so good. I was there a couple of years ago in the Guinness
Factory.
museum or factory. I think it's a factory
Nice.
still. They have like or the brewery. They have like Guinness too, which is like so good. But
Yeah.
all jokes aside, what's the secret story there? Why are they continuously flying you in, and what are you telling them that no one else can tell them?
Actually, the same story as I'm telling you guys today. The story of Loop is related to all the use cases related to diversity. And I think the hot topic that's Meta and also Google though are mentioning is first of all, creative diversity is key to scaling. Creative diversity is just making sure everybody is relevant, making sure that you're reaching out to every audience target possible. And second thing which I'm also noticing a lot is that performance marketing is more back than ever. It used to be like brand marketing for a while. It used to be focused on making sure that you have brand awareness campaigns, impression campaigns, running all those things, like traffic campaigns and so on. And what you're noticing today is that all the major channels like Meta, like Google, they're pushing more than ever into performance marketing. And personally, I feel that performance marketing, as we know today, if you're able to set yourself lower ROAS targets, if you're able yourself to make a healthy funnel in performance, you are doing brand marketing. You are creating a lot of awareness, right? Like, look at Loop today. We have a beautiful funnel running for ourselves for the last 3 years. We do not do a lot of brand awareness marketing, even though that happened. We're still saturating in certain markets. Like, we've reached 70% of the UK market, for example, sometimes. So you do see a lot of data coming in that performance marketing today, with the right setup, allows you to go above the line, allows you to reach a lot of people at the same time.
And when it comes to e-commerce, everyone, and including you, is always talking about customer lifetime value. How do you embed that in your performance marketing strategy now? Because yeah, I think from how I look at it, is a lot of people buy one pair of loops and then
Yeah.
probably they use it for quite a long time. How do you retarget, etc.? Also very curious to hear more about that.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, I love the book How to Grow Brands by Brand Sharp, of How Brands Grow. Have
How
you read
brand?
it?
Yeah, I've read it. I think it's actually on my shelf somewhere behind me, but it's a really good book.
It's Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I really like a book is a philosophy. I think in the first 10 pages you get it straight away. Is the philosophy is that every product has a certain lifetime value, right? As in, if you go to an insurance company, on average you buy 3.5 insurances, and it's really the case. And that's often how we approach things. And of course, with a good retention manager, good retention strategy, and anything else, you are able to maybe increase by 10%, 12%. But I haven't seen a company that was able to increase their lifetime value times two. And I think that is also the reality that you gotta face, is that sometimes your product is just not a lifetime value product, which also is fine because there's other benefits, other advantages to it, right? Maybe your product is really good at creating word of mouth. Like Loop at the moment, it's a really beautiful product. It makes a lot of sense. It helps people. It's qualitative, therefore people will talk about it, which also creates actually certain kind of lifetime value, but it's more share of voice, it's more word of mouth revenue that comes in by having that beautiful product ready, right?
Yeah.
And so that's for me really the thing. I really believe in building a product roadmap that allows you to have lifetime value. With performance marketing, it's amazingly difficult, even though you're the best serial marketer in the world, to double down lifetime value. I do not believe that. I would love to see the data. If anyone can show me, please do. Reach out to me. I would love to know that. But if that's, I don't believe that's possible. Therefore, I believe in originating a lot of word of mouth, or making sure that you have a product line, product roadmap coming up that adds value to your customer lifetime, to your customer cycle, right? If that really is the case, then as a company, you're increasing your lifetime value. Like, that is really, I believe in. You increase your company's lifetime value just by making good products, sold products that people need, and that people relate to in your existing audience already.
Yeah, I just finished this book, which is like by the co-founder of Waze, Fall in Love with the Problem and Not with the Solution, and he mentions like whenever they start coming with the idea of Waze and whatever, they really wanted to go for word of mouth as a strategy, which is like a clear vision in my opinion. But also he mentioned like a clear thing, all the investments he made also later on. He always wanted things that people needed to use at least twice a day. Like with Waze, people they commute to their jobs and they go
Yeah.
back home. And whenever they spoke to someone, how did you hear about Waze? I was in someone's car and they were using it, and it was working really well. So I wanted to download it as well. So it's crazy that word of mouth can be like an amazing strategy. Because how do you stimulate that at Loop?
We don't. I would say we had strategies, but I think we tried about it a couple times. We did some brand marketing in the beginning to see like how we evaluate it. I feel that good word of mouth is often related to a good brand, as in if your brand is telling stories that actually matter to people and people are willing to tell them further, that's really usually. We do measure the word of mouth, but I feel that if you would go to word of mouth marketing, like the guys from Waze, you better have deep pockets because it's going to require you a lot of testing, a lot of analyzing, a lot of analytics to find any correlations between word of mouth and, as you mentioned, 2 times seeing a Waze product a day, right? Like
Yeah,
you
twice a
need to
day
find
at
some
least.
twice a
Yeah.
day, yeah. So that's probably some good research, some good data scientists that has come
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely. Maybe coming back on the product categories, we already discussed it briefly, but Loop, I think, I can say that you guys own basically your own category with basically one product. I assume you guys are exploring other product categories. How does that process work? Do you have already things in the pipeline? You probably can't talk about it, but are there new things coming up, and how do they speak with the performance marketing team about that kind of evolvements?
Yeah, there are definitely new cool things popping up. Like I think that's going into earplugs is definitely one thing. Going beyond earplugs, that's a challenge. That's something that as a company you could grow into. And how did performance marketing relate to that? On our sides, we are in the numbers, we're in the data, so we always see like what customers see, customers feel, what customers at the moment are liking. So therefore, you do have a lot of insights on trends, on search, on keywords. I think that's definitely a thing that you notice. The fun thing is that affinity products and affinity audiences, you have that insight within Amazon, a beautiful insight. You have also affinity insights within Google that showcase you quite well on, hey, people are buying earplugs, what else are they buying? So that insight, in my opinion, is one of the most valuables that any platform, that any marketer can get.
You use Google for that, or what do you
Yeah, you
use?
can use Google for affinity insights. You can also Amazon. You see affinity products, so you can also understand like, hey, if people bought an earplug on Amazon, what else did they bought? What else was in their market? Was in a basket case, right? I
Cool
think
that you
those
can see it.
insights they're really valuable.
Okay, cool. And then maybe another question would be like, in the beginning of our conversation, we mentioned like you scaled the team quite a lot. What advice can you, give startups and ecoms on scaling marketing teams? How does that go? What's the first hire, and how do you maintain like the very specific culture within these teams?
So it all depends on which e-com that you are. If you are a product e-com like Loop is, right, then your first hire is going to be creative. Your first hire is going to be a person that understands creative marketing, understands how to make advertising looks good, website looks good, and convert things. Like that's a golden key. A creative person that actually understands performance. That's those golden nuggets. I would hire them in any heartbeat. They're amazing people.
Do they exist? Or
They do, but
yeah,
rarely. They're quite like really rare eggs that you find somewhere under a hidden stone, but you'll
cool.
find them. And then if you more go into an e-com that is focused on a lot of products, like a lot of SKUs at once, right? There is where optimization is key. Like you're talking about huge Google Ads budgets, you're looking into demand capturing, which is quite different than a product e-com with a lot of products. So then you're going more into really technical marketeers that are able to leverage the tools or leverage Google Ads, leverage keywords, right? And there's where you see the split mostly happening. You or are a really good marketeer for product marketing, like product ecom with simple, small amount of SKUs, or you're an epic marketeer that's able to capture so much demand and just capture more market share with having like a lot of SKUs at the same time. And that is really the where you gotta define for yourself on who you're gonna hire. Um, Beyond that, my advice for any scale-up startup is please do not invest in brands or do not invest in brand campaigns or traffic campaigns, all those things. Make sure you invest in things that actually bring you revenue. Because a bootstrap company is worth a lot more money than anything else, like at least for short term. Um, I really believe in making yourself profitable and scaling from a profit, right? Dare to be break even in the beginning, dare to really spend money in the beginning to experiment, to try out with things, and then that's the same thing. Do not go into one use case. Do not have a vision on this might work. Just say like, I want to try everything at once. I might not believe in this use case, but I just want to try it out, right? A lot of companies, they get stuck with their one vision. They get like a mentor that tells them like, hey, you got to focus on this use case. This is your audience, and often you experience that one audience was never your true audience, and that you need to divert anyway. So why not just try all audiences at once in the beginning and just see what sticks? And I think maybe that's a note I would love to give everybody. Is just hit it against the wall and see what sticks. That's pretty much a marketing strategy we use at Loop.
Okay. So basically what you say, you're 100% ignoring the Gary V guru when he says like the Super Bowl ad is the biggest steal of the marketing world. He said if you can afford it, it's probably the best shot because the entire country of America will see your ad. You're basically saying don't do that and try many different things.
I'm quite sure that for the money they spent on a Super Bowl ad, right? If you use the same money, you spend it on a proper good channel with a lower CPM, you're able to reach 10 times that amount of people that saw a Super Bowl ad. Now, the other true fact is that maybe the Super Bowl ad really has a lot of authority, has a lot of effect, a lot of brand effect. So it also depends on the phase you are as a company, right? If you are in a phase that you want to reach out to so many people to just discover who's your match, who's your audience, then please go for social media, go for Meta, Facebook, anything else. If you are a brand that knows what audience you're in, and you're trying to get as much as authority as possible, as you as a brand want to make sure your brand loyalty is more than ever, yes, then you definitely go for like bigger TV commercial campaigns or Super Bowl campaigns because then you generate authority as a brand. Because nobody, like, just not a single brand does it like Super Bowl. It's like really proper brands that have a good
Yeah,
idea as
it's
Epic,
7
right?
million for a 30-minute spot. Like
Exactly. So the moment you see those ads, you're like, damn, that's a really cool brand. And it remembers. Your ad recall is so much higher because you just remember that's a really good ad. But it's only if you're able to afford it. And goes a little bit back to the philosophies I'm having, is if you are able to afford that CPA, that's cost per acquired customer, that CPA for reaching out to one single customer, right? For the $30 million ads there on Super Bowl ads. If you're able to afford that, it's worth it. If you're not able to afford that, if your lifetime value doesn't afford to have such a high CPA to acquire to reach out to those people, then you might need to look at different platforms.
yeah, like Meta, etc.
Like Meta, Google, Amazon, yeah.
Last week I saw like a really great ad by Calm. It's like the meditation app. They bought like what is it, CNN ads during the election results, and were like 30-second silent ads. They just said like the screen turned in their branding and it said like we bought this app so you could have like a moment of 30 seconds with no noise, which was like super nice. But you wouldn't do it then, if I understand correctly.
No, that all depends because I really believe that Calm has a high lifetime value. I think I'm also a Calm user. I love using it, and I've been using it for the last 2 years about that. So that's also the reason why, right? Because the guys, they probably know that if we made those ads, it's not for acquiring new customers. It's mostly for the existing customers also, making sure that, hey, this is something you can believe in, this is something you can share about. Like Calm is
we're
really
talking about it
upfront
now,
there.
and yeah,
Exactly, right, yeah.
yeah, it's so smart.
But on the other side, have you seen the Sweeney Todd ads from Dr. Squatch?
No, I haven't seen it, but you're gonna tell me
Ooh.
all about it now.
Yes. How is she called again? Sydney Sweeney. Dr. Squatch Genie. Body Wash Genie, I think. It's an amazing brand. So Dr. Squatch is one of the brands I also look up to. Those guys are really doing quite well advertising. They're actually doing advertising I would love to do at Loop at the moment. High quality, really funny, productive ads. Sweeney is known from Sex Education on Netflix, and they're really like making provocative ads on a really high quality level, and it's working like a charm. You can see them everywhere on all channels for guys to buy a body wash, but it's nice. It's actually a really well done ad that allows yourself to have like a new audience while still being high quality. So and they made a lot of variations, I think, on it. Like every week I open some advertising, I see new variations of the same video they showed, I think. So I'm really keen for them.
Talking about opening the ads, do you also watch it via the Facebook ad library, or how do you watch these? Do you have specific tools to do that, or?
Yeah, the honest truth is I'm just a sucker for advertising. So every time I'm moment I click an ad, I watch an ad, I see like go to the website and I get more ads of them. That's mostly how I watch advertising. But in general, yes, you do have a lot of good tools. Forecast is a great tool to use. We use other tools. We actually also now have our own little dashboard tool where we can see advertising. If you want to look for a cheap solution for watch advertising and also the inside advertising, forecast and foreplay, that's one. It's really worth it. And beyond that, just click on things. You'll discover much more than before.
All the time. Funnel hacking, clicking on the ads, browsing the landing pages, subscribing, and then get like a gazillion emails from these guys. So yeah, I'm also a sucker for advertising, you could say. Maybe a couple of final questions, Alex, and then I'm gonna let you enjoy your evening. But for startups or e-coms, because yeah, these are two different things, but companies that are just starting out, what would you advise them? Like doing marketing in-house with a very limited budget, or hire an agency with a limited budget? Because yeah, you need a lot of skills, and I know a lot of founders are struggling with that question. Am I going to hire one marketer, or am I going to hire an agency that's more like a Swiss knife? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the first hires you do in a company, they're so crucial. It's your core team, right? You build your culture from the first hires. You build your knowledge from the first hires. You grow from the first hires. Therefore, if I ever would start a company again, or you're starting a company right now, please do hire the right people in the beginning. Take your time for that, right? If you have time for that, really evaluate people that are able to bring in a good culture, a growth mindset, are able to scale together with you, because it's so important. I would not go for an agency right now. If I'm like startup, right? I prefer to have strategy people. I prefer to have people diving into the mud together with me, to really be in the team. The reason why is because strategy, results, performance, expectations, insights, those things, they come from your inner team. Operations is something you can easily outsource to other teams. Reporting, easily outsource to other teams. Insights, also to other agencies, right? So depending on what you like to do, I prefer to always build my strategic team as a core team inside, and then just accommodate like 30% of that budget, 30% of that other team in agencies. So I'm still having like a healthy mix of, okay, if things go well, I can scale it with the agency. If things go bad, I can decrease the agency. But I still have my core team that is deciding on strategy, that is able to make mistakes, that's able to learn from this, to actually to grow. And that's really for me the core strategy. Like at Loop, I started one-man army. The first thing I did is make sure I have really capable people in the team, senior people in the team, that allow you to scale fast, that allow you to really grow fast, because the last thing that you want is to have a junior person that you need to educate, right? Because you also, as an ecom founder, a startup founder, or a scale-up, you're also learning. You're also trying to explore yourself with more things, right? Mm-hmm. And you do not have time to go into it. You don't have time to educate people and get things done. But you do have time to find the right person that is able to elevate your company in the first months, years of time.
Yeah. So culture is also an important factor
It's
there.
huge important culture. Like it's so underestimated how important culture is in a company. It really makes or breaks teams. Yeah.
Then, yeah, I don't know what your future will bring, but let's say you take the head of growth or head of performance marketing role in another company, maybe software company or another ecom in the coming years. Based on all the learnings you took from your period at Loop so far already, what would your first 90 days look like? I think
Ooh.
it's a super broad question, but high level, based on what
That's
you
a really
learned.
good question. The first 9 days at any ecom company that I would join. Ooh. First thing first is making sure that there is a creative machine running. I think that's something that you can really streamline quite well. It's quite easy to implement. I also give coaching on that one, so I try to coach people in companies in the first 3 months to install that team, and that helps a lot with the growth. I think the second thing, based on the size of the company, I would love to dive faster and more into mixed market modeling, into incrementality studies, into seeing really what works and what actually is able to do. And the third element, depending on how expanded the country is already, like how international the company already is, I would definitely go for expansion. I think that's something that companies see as a struggle often. It's like, oh yeah, new country, new warehouses, new operations. It's really difficult to get in those countries because then you're thinking about, I need the new people, need the localization, I need to have local people, local content, and all those things. And you can do it today so streamlined, so well. I think that if you really have a company you want to scale fast, just going for expansion first in English markets is a key. USA, Australia, Europe for big parts. Having English ads live in Spain, while not, it works, right? And then, of course, going for localization afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a thing.
So you want to keep on expanding your air miles card, if I
Oh,
understand.
100%. I would
Yeah.
love to go to Japan one more time. Love to go more to
You've been
India, I
there
think there.
recently, right? I
Yeah,
saw
I've
you
been
went
there.
for Loop.
Yeah, we launched Japan about a year ago. It's going really well. Like revenue is 500,000 a month, I believe. It's going really well, scaling up crazy. It's interesting insights though. Japan, those countries, like if you go into Asian markets, you will discover that the Western culture is not always the same culture. It's not always the same. How we do marketing is completely different there. They do not appreciate Shopify. They do not appreciate if you tell them one wrong message, right? You always got to make sure your messaging is on point, on top, that you respect their culture, that everything is done. One funny story I can tell you about is that on our advertising, on our marketing, on our website, we were talking about earplugs that actually reduce the noise when you're eating, right? That's not done in Japan. You gotta make sound, right? Hey, you enjoying your fruits? You better make sound. You better burp. You better enjoy your food loudly, and you do not to put earplugs in. That's just not done in Japan. So by advertising those things, you're not only just having bad performance, but you're also insulting them in a certain way that is really bad for your brand.
So the
So
advertising has an actual impact there on the product because then you don't launch that product there, if I understand.
exactly right, or at least you delete the use case.
Yeah.
You don't use use case of hey, this product
Yeah.
can be used for restaurants. But you got to make sure it's as capable, it's capable for your culture, respect their habits, and even though you endorse that.
Cool. We didn't discuss TikTok yet.
Ooh.
Maybe shortly, what can you tell about TikTok? I know Loop is going quite hard on it from what I can see,
Yeah,
but do you also use TikTok Shop, etc.? The creator economy on TikTok. How do you embrace it from Loop?
I think a genius. I think Diga Shop, the creator, how the guys are structuring today, they're using a whole social platform to just like
Sell.
monetize the influencer marketing that's
Yeah,
there.
crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like the whole scope, I love it. Like we're trying to make it work at Loop today. We haven't found a solution yet, but it looks like there's potential there. So I'm really keen to explore it more. Today we're focusing mostly on the advertising. It's about like 10% of the revenue. It's going like quite well. Revenue scaling well, but it's a beast. It eats a lot of ads. That's one thing
And
I can tell you about it.
because the targeting is still quite limited, or did they open it up already?
Oh, targeting is whole way like meta. It's broad.
Okay.
You can reach everybody you can reach out to. I'm more talking about the fact that it's a content machine. It's a lot of ad fatigue. So you need to feed it more ads, more creatives, more than Meta. And Meta is already a beast that just churns out a lot of advertising. So TikTok is even worse on that one. So therefore,
It,
it's a
it
difficult
goes
beast to
super
scale.
fast, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
goes super fast, and you need a lot of content because people consume super fast. Yeah, I can imagine, but I also see like the threat there because yeah, the creators can also like launch spin-offs or copycats of products, and they can sell it quite fast.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Because I can assume that at least one creator tried to sell earplugs, probably.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like, I think that's the biggest issue at Loop is just copyright issues. And, not
Copycats.
copy mark issues.
And how do you deal with that?
We sue them? No. um, the honest truth is it's quite difficult, right, to actually come to them. We do have like a big legal team that's always on the case, always make sure that we're able to have no copycats active. But it's a big thing, especially on TikTok Shop. It's just a new platform. They don't really have yet rules or regulations on it that are that in depth. So you gotta go through like the account rep ways and really get things on there. But yeah, that's a real challenge on the truth, and I haven't seen them solving it right now yet. So you better be first, I would say, before somebody else is first.
Yeah, cool. Okay, maybe a couple of small questions to wrap it up. What will be your biggest marketing bet in 2025?
My biggest marketing bet in 2025. I would love to break the down on in the US. Like I know US market, we're already doing quite a good job there, but it's such a huge market, and I feel we just scratch the surface over there. So I would love to get more into the southern states and also northern states there more, really making content for US for different cultures within US, because I feel that there is where we might be lacking like some new reach, some new audiences. So maybe going for NASCAR in the future, or maybe going for more like Canadian kind of content, or I don't know, football content in the future. I would love to get there, and so that's one thing. That's a marketing bet I'm definitely want to make and see how that goes. I think
You're
that's
also
one
talking
thing.
about franchising then, because you mentioned NASCAR, etc. Do you already do franchising? Because I can assume Loop is a
Oh, I
perfect
wish.
product for that.
No, we don't do that. No. So what we do though is licensing deals, right? By example, we sometimes work together with Tomorrowland, where Tomorrowland we have a branded product together. It's collaboration we do together, where we do have a Tomorrowland product.
Yeah.
So those things, yes, we do completely. And I would love to get more into other partnerships. There are some really cool parts coming up, by the way, next year. So that's keep your eyes out because they're going to be really epic. So that's I would love to do in the future. But licensing, I don't think we're that big yet. Maybe licensing
Crazy
like
that you say that. Yeah,
we're,
it's
yeah, we're not that big yet, right? We're still a small fish in the big world. So I think licensing would for us mean morely buying all licenses. And the honest truth, if you can able, by example, to license Lego or Pokemon or all those
Disney
things,
or something. Yeah.
yeah, then you have really good audiences, unlocking a whole new audience. That would be pretty cool.
What's your favorite marketing book? You mentioned one already, but
Influence. Oh no, actually, advertising. Advertising. So I used to be I used to love influence because influence is really like the basic of psychology behavior. But if there's one book that I always recommend to people in my team, it's advertising. And the reason why is because it's just to the core copywriting. It's just creating a good creative for people, for customers, and making sure it's relevant, right? And it goes all the way back into biological behavior. It goes back into our true nature. Everyone want to feel loved. Everyone want to have the newest thing. Everybody wants to have enjoyment of life. Everyone wants to have less anxiety, less fear. It goes into really the basic behaviors of what makes people human. Yes, and I feel the best marketing ever is just that. The best marketing ever you can ever do is go read books of the 1900s or the 2000s. Go read books, really old books of how people did marketing in the past, because those really key elements of great marketing, they are still relevant for today. Like those aspects of David Ogilvy and all those campaigns you run in the past, I think they're still golden.
Yeah, that's crazy because it's so common sense that you go back to the essence, but everyone is always on the look for new tactics and new channels.
Always.
But like the simplicity and going back to the essence, yeah, people forget about it. And I saw a video on, I think it was LinkedIn earlier this week, and it was a small video of a guy explaining someone, yeah, his best marketing lesson, and it was basically, yeah, keep things simple. Just make an ad of what the product does. Like this
Yeah.
makes you sleep better.
Yeah.
This makes your baby stop crying.
Yeah.
All these kind of things. Just the messaging was so clear, and it told exactly what the product did. And
That's it,
yeah.
man. That's it. People make things way too complicated. Just focus on the essence. Focus on what your product does, how does it help a person, what's the benefit out of it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. And then the last one. What's your favorite marketing tool?
My favorite marketing tool, I would say Birch. It's a new one. Like it's
I don't
actually
know
it used to be Revealbot. It's now rebranded to Birch. On truth, it just automated your whole meta advertising like a charm. It's like we have 178 rules running per country, and it just automates a load of workload, and it's beautiful because the moment we installed that tool, the moment we start like setting up these rules, we have been just scaling through the roof pretty much. Everything is optimized at an instant. Every ounce of incremental ROAS are just squeezed out of there. It's a quite nice tool to use.
Cool. And then the really the final question of this conversation, like what would be your main advice to, yeah, marketers that are just starting out there and that yeah, they want to end up in a performance marketing role or growth marketing? What would you advise them?
So I used to, as you know, Yannick, like we have been meeting each other at the co-working space, right? Like I
Yeah.
used to do guerrilla marketing, content marketing for like dating websites in the past. Um, I really learned how to do marketing because a friend of mine, Peter van Keer, he told me to do growth marketing, just go into it. And I really still believe in the principle of growth marketing. I feel it has had a bad name in the past because growth marketing is often related to growth hacking, but just the mindset of experimentation, the mindset of failure, and having loads on in really like a hustle mentality mindset. I really, really love that. For any junior marketeer that would be there, I would say go to growth marketing course, go to like experimentation course, go join any agency which is famous for validation, innovation, it's famous for fast pace testing things, because you will learn so much faster than working at any company. Like I love to hire people from the agency scene because they know to handle clients, they know how to handle a lot of problems at the same time,
And they know
and
what hard work is.
and they
Yeah.
know what hard work is. Exactly, you're nailing it there. So yeah, that are the right people. And then if they have some client experience, that's amazing. If they can bring their hustle mentality to the client side, that those people, they get things done. They really get things done.
Okay, man. Then I think we reached the end, and you can go enjoy your evening. So I want to thank you for being here, for taking the time. It's been a while that we spoke more than an hour, so I really appreciate you being here and taking the time. And yeah, let's meet soon. Talk to
I
you
love
soon.
it. No,
Okay.
thank you very much and good luck. Cheers.
See you. Bye bye.